All right, students, this is Dr. Adnan, and I welcome you all on behalf of Faculty of Management Sciences, Namal University. And today's session is about stress management. We are going to discuss the causes of stress, different types of stress, and the comprehensive model of the stress, as well as we are going to discuss the coping strategies, like what you can do and how you can react in a stressful situation. Because stress, what I know, it's not something what you feel. It's an encouraging factor, so you have to cope with it. There are so many strategies, and the strategies are not going to they are not going to be beneficial for everyone, so you have to be particular. Strategies are normally personalized in nature. Anyways, before proceeding, what is stress? Stress simply means when someone trying to repair every situation sorrow. So basically, if you are just trying to fix the problems by your own, then you are maybe in a stressful situation. The reason is you need to have the help of someone, or maybe sometimes you need to have resources, or sometimes you need to be a good psychologically driven person to help in a stressful situation. But well, you know the context of the stress, but how you define stress? What is a stress? That is the biggest question. And then we can come forward to know the causes of the stress, and then it would be quite easy to know the coping strategies or the remedial action to help in a stressful situation. Students, now you can guess very well. The stress is a kind of the tension. These pictures are quite explanatory in nature. It's a kind of a force. It's a kind of uh, a strain. So all these are counted as a stress. For example, uh, I can stress on this topic. This topic is quite important, so I am emphasizing on this topic. This topic is not only important literarily, rather this topic is important for your workplace life, for your organizational life, for your social life. We are going to confront in a situation when we are in a stress. So what to do and how to do is basically the mandate of this class. So students, moving forward, here we got some definitions of the stress. Stress is a pressure or tension exerted on a material object. Uh, Quite simple. Basically, it's a force, it's a tension, it's a strain. So which is exerted on any object. That can be a living object, or that can be even a chair or a cable or any elastic material. So stress simply means it's a kind of the tension. Give particular emphasis or importance to a point, statement, or idea made in a speech or writing. In a linguistic term, stress means when you are emphasizing on something, when you feel that should be done, or that is important for someone. So what I told you, I can stress on the education for you. This one is so important for you. So stress can be in your language. So you can stress on any point or any statement or any quote. The third one is stress is the body's reaction to any change that requires an adjustment or a response. So stress is the body's reaction to any change that requires an adjustment or a response. Students, now it's quite a comprehensive definition. You are in a situation, and it's all about your response, how you are going to react. Keep in mind, subject stress is a subjective phenomena, and it means it all depends on your perception, how you are taking the issue. For example, think about any of the situation when you were in a stress. And do you believe all of the people are going to have the same kind of stress in the same situation? Maybe not. Some people may have more stress in that situation, but some people may be quite okay with the situation. The reason is it's about perception. So how you are going to react, it's also important. Keep in mind, so far we have again emphasized on the tension or the strain that is implied the stress. Workplace stress is a physical, mental, or emotional factor that causes bodily or mental tension. So uh, it can be a kind of the tension may be exerted on your cognition, on your emotion, on your body. So as a human, the stress is like any force or any tension which is exerted. So students, now coming over to the definition of workplace stress. It is a physical, mental, or emotional factor that causes bodily or mental tension. Uh, Precisely, it's about a tension which you may feel on your body, on your emotional codes or the psychological codes. For example, when you are in a stress, then you feel a strain psychologically. And but if I'm going to stretch you out, so that strain can also be for your body. So precisely, it's about a tension. And I assume you know the meaning of the tension. Now, stress is an adaptive response resultantly from any event, situation, or action placing special demands upon the person. It's about your response to a situation which is exerting a special demand, right? So you are in a situation which is unique and which is special and which is demanding for you. So you gonna face a tension. And here we come over to the precise and comprehensive definition of the stress. Now, students, do you believe stress is bad or good? Uh, if you recall my lecture about the conflict, then we had a discussion about conflict is bad or good. And I gave you an idea whenever you are uncertain about things, is it good or bad, then you have to look into the types of the phenomena as well as the intensity of the phenomena. For example, do you believe turnover is bad or good? Then you're gonna say it depends. It depends on what. So turnover can also be good if an incompetent employee is gonna leave your organization. Then that turnover is good. The other side is politics is good and bad. Then the politics is something about a political skill. When you are concerned with something like if you are concerned with yourself, with your interest, then obviously that politics is not good for your organization. But politics can also be good if you are exercising your political strategies or the skills for your organization, right? So it means it depends on the type of the politics, how you are taking that politics in the interest of the organization or for your own interest. Then what I told you about the turnover, so the functional turnover, the type, what I'm talking about. The functional turnover is the turnover when the incompetent or inefficient employee is going to leave your organization. So same happens with some other adverse situation. What I told you about the conflict. Conflict can also be good when conflict helps to enhance the performance of the organization. And at that time, we figured out task and the process conflict can be good. But the other side was the relationship conflict, which is in every case, these are the bad kind of conflict. So, well, following the same analogy here, the types of the stress, we have the challenge stressors and the hindrance stressors. Now, whenever you're gonna talk about which stress is good and which one is bad, uh, it's about what causing you in the stress situation. What the authors and experts have figured out, the challenge stressors and the hindrance stressors. If you are confronted in a situation which helps to enhance your performance, then that stressors, the causes of the stress are good. And when someone making a hindrance and when something or phenomena that takes you away from reaching your goals, then that causes of stress are not good. So the challenge stressors, so they include the workload, the pressure to complete tasks, and time urgency. So these are all the stuff which helps you to move towards your goals. For example, how you feel when you have to appear in an exam. I know some of you, you are quite planned, scheduled every day about your studies. But if you couldn't study as much and yet you have to appear in the exam, so as the days are passing, you have to take the stress of your exam. So what even you couldn't do in the last 1 or 2 months, now you have to do in few weeks. So basically, that stressors are causing you to move towards your goal, and your goal is to get good grades and to qualify in the exams. So same happens as if you have the deadline of the assignment, then you are quite particular and you take the stress. If you're not taking the stress, you cannot reach your goals. Follow the same analogy in organizational life. What you have to do, well, I'm your boss and I want you to complete a task, and I'm not going to give you a deadline, so just do it, and just do it fine, and the stuff should be perfect. But you are not taking stress, so you are not going to make that mark. So the stress is important in such situations. The other side, the hindrance stressors, so they are the hindrances. Well, any stress, again, it's about the tension, right? So if you are in a stress or if you are in a tension because of some issues which are taking you away from reaching your goals, then these stresses are not good. For example, if you have any family issue, or if you face a discrimination in your organization, and if the environment of the organization is highly politicized, then what you gonna do? So obviously that is a kind of the leg pulling you are facing in the organization, and these problems can't help you. Obviously, they are dragging you away from your goals. So stress that keeps you away from reaching your goals, such as red tape, the uh, red tape is among the bad stressors. Uh, then students, we also have the alternate words for the challenge stressors and the hindrance stressors. The challenge stressors are also called the eustress, and the hindrance stressors are called the distress. Now the eustress are, they are positive, they energizes you, and they are the short term, because what I told you, normally these are the time bound kind of the causes. And well, our lens is defined in terms of the performance. If any of the stress or the stressors are helping you to improve your performance or the performance of your departmental goal or the organizational goals, they are one or same thing. If you are performing high, then you can reach the goals of your departments. So anything which helping you in the performance, then these are good. And if anything which is causing the destruction, then obviously they are not good. But you stresses believed within coping mechanism, someone we can handle. So if something something is in your control, then you can easily tackle, and you can easily achieve. The distress generally feels unpleasant, often depletes energy. You see, if you have an issue, or if you have a hard talk with your colleague, with your friend, with your boss, so that stressors can also cause you to deplete your energies, because your processor is occupied over there, and the thoughts are automatically coming, and you are basically occupied somewhere. If you are stressed, for example, you are sitting in a class, yet you have some issues, and you had some exchange of words with your friends. Again, your mind is already dragged over there. You are dragging it back. Just stay here, stay focused at the lecture. But the problem is, automatically your thoughts are over there. So these are kind of the hindrances you are confronting. And all it depends. Sometimes your issues are short term, and I wish if any of the issue you are facing, that should be short term, but sometimes they become chronic in nature and decreases overall performance. That's what I told you. It's about, we have a defined lens, and that lens is, if something is helping you in a performance, then it's good. If it's not helping, then it's bad. And a perceived outside coping mechanism, that is something we cannot handle, can lead to physical illness. So there are so many issues. The outcomes are destructive in nature, especially if something bad is chronic in nature, then it's going to put you away from reaching your goal. All right, students, then there is a very interesting diagram about the stress and performance relationship. And it's quite same what we have discussed in the conflict session. I guess quite explanatory in nature. It's a self-explanatory. You can see the performance is at a vertical axis, and at horizontal axis we have the level of the stress. So students, now you can see here, I can figure out. So students, you can see at this side we have the level of the stress, and here I can see the level is low, and I'm quite calm. But at the other side, I can see the performance is low. Here, obviously, the performance is low. So I can easily figure out, if stress is low, then the performance is also low. But about the other case, now here you can see the performance is high. Uh, well, it's quite easy to understand. Now, this situation, stress is low, performance is also low. In this case, what I can see, stress is high and performance is again low. But at this level, which is neither low nor high, in this case, your performance is high. So what is the takeout of this figure? Students, it's all about, The moderate level of stress is good because in this case you can see the performance level is at the highest level. So what the author say, when you have a very low level of the stress, then it means you are not stressed out, you are not taking or you are not feeling any stress. But in case the stress is at a peak, then what's going to happen if you are facing a quite significant kind of tension? Obviously you cannot perform. But if it's a consistent kind of the stress, then you can perform well. So moderate level of the stress is good. And sometimes if you're going to work as a manager, so uh, you have to maintain a moderate kind of stress on your subordinates, on your followers. But that stress should be the good stress, what we call the youth stress. It's not about you should encourage politics, you should discriminate your employees or the injustices. These are the stuff which is not acceptable in the organization. So that you stress, think about the I hope you are clear about the definition of the stress, especially the use stress. So work on the use stress. The goals should be there, goals should be time bound, and goals should be realistic, as well as optimal, and uh, and the moderate level of the workload is good, that can help to achieve the goals. Now students, here we got another very interesting diagram about the demand resource model of the stress. This model is quite unique and quite handy model. Basically, if you make a surgery while you are in a stress, then you will find, well, if I want you to present a topic, so, if I want you to present a topic which is about the interdependent and independent self-control, uh, you have to present within an hour. So are you going to present that topic? Especially that presentation is about the 20 marks. Well, if you are given the 20, if you are given 1 hour to prepare your topic and present, especially when it has a very high weightage, then you are going to be in a stress. But what if I want you to present a topic which is about the working of your organization? Are you going to face the same kind of stress? Obviously not. The condition is different, and basically the uh, the causes are different. Simply stated, when you have adequate resources to meet a demand or to meet attention, then you are not in a stress. For example, these examples are important, students. Let's say uh, I want you, you are my employee, I want you to work on the software. The software is quite new for you. So you are going to be in a stress because your performance and your rewards are going to be based on what you are doing. You don't know the software, how you're going to perform. But if someone who knows about the different softwares, and especially the particular software I'm talking about, so he can perform well, he won't be in a stress. So if you have the resource can be emotional, physical, or that can be the cognitive resource. You have to solve a puzzle, and well, that puzzle is going to uh, it's going to differentiate between the person who's going to be promoted and those who are not going to be promoted in the organization. Then obviously if you are good in maybe analytical skills, then you would be feeling a kind of temptation. Okay, I'll go and I can easily sort out. So students, emotional, what I told you, emotional, cognitive, and behavior aspects are important. If you have the resources, you are not going to be in a stress, or you can easily cope with the stress. You are in a stress, but because of that resource, you can easily come out. So what I told you, it's about the emotional reasons or emotional resources. For example, maybe someday, a very fine morning, you're not enjoying a good emotional state. Your mood is off. Maybe you are sad. So now you are sad. What is basically a condition? Now you need to have the resource. If you are here and if you are blessed with parents, with family members here in local area, then you're gonna spend some time and they can exchange some encouraging words so you can come out of that emotional stress. uh, the emotional feelings, right? There is a list of the emotional feelings. We can have a separate discussion. But simply stated, if you feel emotionally drained, then you need to have the emotional support. And your friends, your siblings, your parents, your colleagues, they can help out in such situation. Here, emotional issues, the other side are the resources. So finally, the match can help you to come out of the stress. The other side is the cognitive factor. So what I told you, it's about. But if I want you to solve a case, you have already gone through certain topics, so you can easily solve a case. But someone who doesn't have an idea about what we discussed and the orientation of the chapter, then obviously, and he should be in a stress because he doesn't have the adequate resource. So what I told you about the software, what I want you to solve mathematical questions, you've been good, you got the necessary skills, you got the necessary knowledge, you can easily come out. Then the last one, what I told you about the physical, if you got the physical demand, for example, you're working in my company and I it's a sales oriented company, I want you to go out and make some sales, but you don't have the mobility, you don't have the motorbike, so how you can do it? Obviously you would be in a stress. So there are so many examples about the physical demands and then the resources. Obviously, working in the organization, you need to have some resources. But if I'm not going to provide you the computer, the accessories, the stationeries, so can you work? You are going to be in a stress. You didn't provide any resource, so how could I do? So you are in a stress, and this the frustration is the result of the stress. Basically here you can see it's a stress, and here we have the resource. With that resource you can break this balloon, and you can meet the demands. 5 quick ways to know the stress. Now if you want to know you're in a stress or not, maybe sometimes we are in an uncertain situation, we are in a stress mode. So just a very quick round of uh, the scanning. If you're in stress, if you're in stress, then check muscle tension by scanning. So if you feel a kind of the stress in your muscles, so the stress can be over, you can feel, I don't know, there is a muscle tension, right? There is a strain in my muscle. So basically you've been in a stressful situation, and keep in mind in this case it can be even your workload. So you are coming out of your office, you had a very heavy class a day. So when you are coming out of your university, you feel a strain. And then check hand temperature. Well, this can give you an idea, right? So when you find a difference between the temperature of your hand, the palm, and the neck, then it can give you an idea that you are in a stress. And then check your nervous sweating. People sweat a lot. It depends on your personality, on your genetic structure. Some people, what happens when you have a very difficult topic to present, or what happens when you have very difficult questions to answer in a presentation? You can see in the media when in a press conference they are asking very tough and critical questions. If you don't have anything to speak, you are in a stress. So the sweating can itself reveals that you are now in a stress or in a tension. Check for a rapid pulse rate. Well, for a normal person, your pulse rate can be up to 75 or 80. So, well, here we have the threshold of the 75 beats per minute, but if it exceeds from 75, then you have to take care of yourself. And finally, check for rapid and shallow breathing. So if your breathing is shallow, it's not as much deep, or you can't have the deep breathing, then you are in a stress. Again, I would quote the example of your presentation, because some of you, they don't have any job experience. uh, it's quite difficult to breathe in a normal way when you are in a stress. You have an issue at your home, or maybe when your boss is giving you your appraisal, and he's highlighting the mistakes you have committed, and you are not going to enjoy any benefit. So obviously, when you are not going to get any bonus or any promotional prospects, so you may be in a stress, and that tension can give you a kind of the shallow breathing. Now, but keep in mind, all it depends on your personality. Some people have this kind of issue. They can't breathe well the normal way in the stressful situation. Students, now it's a model of the stress, a very well, the model is quite explanatory, but it's quite comprehensive. The model is about the causes of the stress, then we have the consequences. What the author is saying, it's about the potential sources, and here it's about the consequences. You can also call them the outcomes. Here we have the moderators, I would call them. You can also call it the coping strategies. Students, just follow my words, because there is so much in this model. What can be the possible causes of the stress? And there can be number of causes, but broadly, if I put them into the categories, then the causes include the environmental factors, then we have the organizational factors, and then they can be related to ourselves, the personal factors. Starting with the economic uncertainty. Okay, well, before proceeding, all this, the environmental factors, it depends to your sensitivity to the environment. And I would say it's about your understanding, or it's about knowledge about the environment. So if you're associated with these factors, then you're gonna face the stress. For example, number one is economic uncertainty. So if you uh, feel something, a kind of economically there is going to be turned down, then you are going to be in a stress. For example, if you feel the petroling prices are going to be high from the next week, so you can easily calculate, because the petrol is associated with all the commodities, because how the vegetables are coming in the markets, and about everything, you need to have the mobility is very important. So it means, because of the rise in the prices of the petrol, the oil prices, so it's going to affect everything. In short, we are going to face an inflation. So what I told you, it all depends on your understanding or your association. Maybe the females who are there in a far area, so they have nothing to do with the economic uncertainty, right? And then we have the political uncertainty. So how you gonna feel if you have an issue, if you face a political chaos, if there is a political turbulence in our country, then you are going to be in stress. And so much so, if you have a strong political affiliation and your political party is facing a crisis, so you are going to be in stress. So political uncertainty, political stability is important, and it's especially important for the educated class, because they have strong sentiments about the stability of the country, and all these factors have an effect on our national interest, on our country stability, right? We really appreciate, and I wish if we can enjoy a good economic conditions, prosperity, the booming conditions, then the political stability, and the last one is the technological change. Um, again, all it depends where you are, what kind of education you have, and especially what kind of employment you have, right? So students, for example, you are working in a cellular company, you are working in a Bharat or Telenor. So in a fine morning, you got to know you have to switch over to the 4G or the 5G. So now you have you have to have attention about it, because you have to switch all of your operations onto it. For that, you have to learn new skills. And what else you need to train all of your employees. It's not about spending extra amount of energy. It's even about a huge amount of money, so that can put you in a stress. And then we have organizational factors, the task demands. The students are not going to write anything, you have to just follow my words. Your organizational life can also create a stress. Organizational factors, number one is the task demand. Oh, uh, well, you know, when you are going to work in the organization, then you have to be clear about your task, duties, and responsibilities. And these are different from each other. Task is the unit work or unit activity. It's a discrete activity what you have to do. And then the collection of the related activities or the tasks, they become your duties. So you are given some duties in the organization. For example, you are working as a sales manager, so your duty is to mentor, to provide coaching or counseling to the sales force. So you have to be a leader precisely. So then your duty is maybe to go for the corporate selling. So it's not about the individual selling, rather you have to go and engage yourself at a fleet selling, the selling in a bulk. So that is your, because in that duty you have assigned tasks, a number of tasks, but you have to look for the prospects, contacting, then going presentation, finally order processing. There are so many tasks involved. And then you can also be given some other duties as well, maybe some administrative kind of duties. So basically the task is the unit activity. I'm the teacher, I've been given some duties. I have to teach is a duty, and in teaching I have associated tasks. I have to administer quizzes, I have to give you assignments, I have to deliver lecture, the foremost activity in the teaching. Then uh, I have another duty, that is the research, and there are a number of tasks involved in the research. So duties have the collection of the task. So your task demands, if, for example, uh, I have given you a kind of the task which is quite demanding, so that can put you in a stress, right? If you are given a task which is not clear even, so how to perform, so basically that can put you in a stress. Then the roles, so role means you have to perform different roles. uh, for example, uh, it's about the clarity about what you have to do. For example, you are given a number of tasks, and if you are given so many roles to perform, then you are going to be in a stress, right? The role demands mean, You are given a number of duties. Well, if it's about one or two duties, then you can easily do. But if it's about the four or five duties, then you feel overburdened. Then interpersonal demands means you are not working in a vacuum. Rather, you are working with certain people, and uh, sometimes they are quite demanding. So for that, you have to be conscious about everything. My point is, if you are not enjoying a good relation within your organization, that can be a cause of the stress. And then the personal factors, family issues or family problems. Students, if you Allah na kare, but if you are facing any issue at your home, maybe someone is suffering from the chronic illness, or maybe you feel your uh, kids are not as much obedient, then that can be the source of the stress. Then the economic issues. Well, if your income is not adequate to meet your demands, demands, I mean, you have some basic necessities, you have some basic needs. So if you can't meet your basic needs, then you are going to be probably in a stress. And then the personality. Well, personality means some people are automatically driven in a stress. They have the personality attribute. So no matter whatever the circumstance, even they are in a very good situation, they don't have all the issues what we have discussed so far, all the issues given above, yet they are in a stress. Basically, it's about their personality. For example, the common personality trait is the neuroticism. So neurotics are in a stress. Well, I'll be here later, but before proceeding, let me discuss these outcomes or the consequences. So students, the potential sources, the causes further leads towards the outcomes of the stress. Well, take a minute and think about, if you are in a stress, then what's going to happen. So you gonna face issues about, you can face health related issues. The issues can be the psychological or some behavior kind of issues. Psychological means the chronic stress can also take you into the headache, right? So you are facing a headache, that's quite common, but it's about the consistent and persistent stress. And then it's about the high blood pressure. So in stress, you get high blood pressure and also the cardiac issues. Then the psychological anxiety, depression, and decrease in job satisfaction. It's about your psychological, the cognition. You feel depressed, you feel an anxiety and the reduced satisfaction. Then the behavior symptoms. Behavior means what you are doing. I can easily see what you are doing. So behavior means something which is visible in nature. Productivity, your performance is not going too high and you don't feel like doing anything. And then you won't feel like going into your office, your absenteeism, your reporting to the organization is going to decrease. And then the turnover, you would start feeling or start intending to leave the organization. The quitting behavior is going to high, or at least I would say your intention to leave the organization can also be high, and that also gives you a kind of a drastic effect on the performance and on the organizational performance, because when you are not 100% with your organization, then it means it's going to affect you are not performing at your 100%. Basically you are up to your 40 and 50, so obviously it's not good. And these are what I told you, the moderators. Now the concept here is, besides all these factors, if these causes are there, the sources are there, but you are not going to take stress. Students, keep in mind that relationship can also be moderated by this. The point is important. These factors are there, but someone is not taking stress, is not in a stress, because among all of them, one or two are there and present. The other side is maybe the stress is there, but the person can easily cope with the stress because of these factors. So both these equations or the narrations are true. But what's going to happen? The perception means how you are interpreting things. So, students, about your understanding or information are just coming into your mind and how you are taking the things or taking the information. Um, so, there are some issues. The causes are there, but causes are there. You are not in a stress because of a different perception. For example, you are working in your organization from the last 4 or 5 years, but in a fine morning, you got a letter. Okay, your services are no more required, so you are going to be in a stress. That's quite obvious. But it's about the perception, how you are interpreting things. Maybe for some persons it's an opportunity. For example, among you been thinking about to start your business, but you couldn't start your business because you have a job and you are programmed every day you are coming. So you didn't even get time or any opportunity to leave the job and start business. So as you get um, a termination letter, right? So you feel it a blessing in a disguise, and you feel good. You are not in a stress. So it's about the perception, and perception. There can be some other examples of the perception. Then the job experience. A job, as you get more and more experience of the job, you are not in a stressful situation. So students, again, the point is important. It's about the seniors. They don't take as much stress. The reason, there can be two possibilities. One is they are immune with the stressful situations because they know over a period from the 15 years they've been in a stressful situation, so they don't react the same way as the juniors are reacting. And then the possibility is they got the experience and they know what's going to be the consequences. This one is we got a big project where we have to work hard. That is a stressful situation because you are going to be overburdened with work, but you know your shocks, your stress absorbers are quite active and quite effective. So you know problem is there, but you know how to tackle this problem. So that's why over a period we got different strategies and perception and the remedial action. Seniors are very good in that. Then the social support. Now think about your situation. Mashallah, you are with your family, so they can help you out. The problem is there, but you spend your time with your family and it automatically helps you. Believes in a locus of control. Locus of control simply means it's about your perception or belief about things are in your control or in the control of, or things are in the control of the external factors or it's beyond your control. If you believe things are in your control, then you don't take that kind of stress because you know you are in charge and you are the pilot and you can fly in any direction. You can move out in the stressful situation because you are the master of your fate, or you have something to do on your fate or destiny. But the other side is externals, they feel helpless. So whatever has happened, so that was something in their fate and they have to accept it. Then the self-efficacy. Self-efficacy means your belief, your capability. If you believe you are the strongest person, and if you believe you have the competency to come out of the stress, it's about your strength. It's about your standing. If your self belief is high, so it means you are not going to take that kind of stress. And the hostility can add more augmenting effect in the stress. If you are in a hostile environment, then you are going to take more interest. Keep in mind, stress is additive in nature. Additive means it keeps on adding. Well, the example is maybe you are stressed because of the performance appraisal in your office. While coming back from your office, you again had a talk with your colleague which wasn't good, which was a pleasant. And when coming back to your home, You again, there was a traffic jam and someone said something, so finally all these stresses were adding up, and finally you are going to show some frustration. So if hostility is high, then you are going to react more severely as compared to other person, and these reactions are going to be quite severe. Maybe you are going to be more in a depression, you are going to face cardiac issues and this and that. So students, these are the remedial or the coping strategies in a stressful situations. These mm, these are important. Well, before proceeding, I guess you should stop this video and just take a pen and write what you do when you are in a stress. We got we have different strategies. Like I know I know if I'm gonna ask this question, then you're gonna say I used to go for a walk, I go on a long drive, I used to go in a gym and exercise, or maybe you people enjoy music, or maybe you spend time with your family, and some people, well, that's quite encouraging strategies. Go and say your prayers with more focus, complete mindful prayers. So these are the helping strategies. But since our topic is the workplace stress, then there is something what your organization can also do. So starting from this side, individuals also implementing when you have to. Well, students, I would say the first side is just try to focus at the causes what makes you in a stress and try to avoid those causes. And second one is if still you are in a stress, then then go for the strategies to help you out. Individual approaches implementing the time management. So since you know we are the uh, we always follow the deadline, which is not encouraging approach. So my suggestion is try to schedule. I've been teaching in this through online classes, and I have to post the assignments. And I used to have the request from the students to extend the deadline of the assignment. Uh, the discouraging fact is I used to get the request from from the same students. The reason is they are not scheduled about their work, about their education. So students, if you are quite planned, then you are not going to face that kind of challenge. Increase physical exercise. This can also be a good strategy because I would recommend to go and enjoy sports means to play sports. Reason being, when you are in a sports, it changes your focus. When you are in a swimming or when you are in a badminton or cricket or football, so you are very much there in the ground when you are playing a match. So you are focused towards the strategies and towards your skills. The relaxing training, meditation, hypnosis, deep breathing, it's about your mindfulness training. Um it's about okay, I can quote an example of the yoga. That can also be an exercise when you fuel your when you when you strengthen the connection of your conscious and subconscious. But at this moment, if that connection is weak, then your subconscious is wandering every time. We can have a separate session on it, but I would say the meditation or the mindfulness or the mindful exercises can be a best remedy. Extend social support. Expanding social support means just to enhance your social capital. For that, you need to have your social skills. So try to look for the friends, the good friends, and you can easily come across. You are in an education, so in this university you got some friends. um, well, I believe it's literally hard to find good or intimate friendship, but I know it's difficult, but I still believe out of 10 you can get one or two good friends. And students, my suggestion is, when you find anyone who's good and who's sincere, then try to pay respect on this relationship, and try not to cheat in this relationship. Keep on strengthening this relationship. So try to keep that bond active every time, right? No matter you start working in Dubai, but that social support is important. That rationalizing, reasoning, and justification, another. Basically, it's about a mind framing approach. Whenever someone said something or something has happened, try to develop a positive perception. Things sometimes they automatically happens, but you don't know what extra advantages, benefits they are uh, getting for you. I don't know should I quote this example or not, but even in this COVID crisis, you got time to spend with your family, you got time for yourself as well, or otherwise we were very much occupied in our daily routine. I literally can't encourage or appreciate the things going on. The COVID 19 is a big crisis, but just to take the tension of that social isolation, you can even think about what positive it has brought for you. These are some of the organizational strategies, and these are also very applicable and important. Improve personnel selection. As a in the organization, you should focus on the hiring process and put the person in the right place. Training should be, because if I'm deficient on the skill, I can't perform, I would be in a stress. Use of realistic goal setting. The goal should be challenging, but we have already discussed. The goal should be smart. You know the meaning of the smart: specific, measurable, and attainable, realistic, and time bound. So if the goals are challenging, but what if they are over challenging? People can't achieve. They are going to be in a stress. Increase employee involvement. So in case any change is going to be brought in, then take your employee along. When they have their participation, they are not going to be in a stress. Rather, they are going to be with you. Improve organizational communication. They should be simply stated. The structure on the information should not be confined, should not be centralized. Free flow of information. What if in the class of these 20 students, if two of them uh, are having a very silent or secret conversation, it's obviously not look good ethically, but we can have a kind of apprehension. What they are talking, is this about a conspiracy or like what? So communication, over communication is always encouraging. Offer implies sabbaticals. Basically, it's a kind of the leave. So employees should have a leave and enjoy their personal life, their social life. Lastly, establishment of corporate wellness program. So these programs are like, we can have a gym in the office, or we can have some activities, outdoor activities for our employees. There can be number of things. Good organization in Islamabad, they can have a hiking program. People get time to meet each other, and they are out of the organizational situation. So there can so much we can do. So student, in that I'm going to forward a small clip about Google, which is quite interesting, and you can see what kind of wellness program they have for their employees. And that's why Google is every time innovative, because once, as an organization, you are sincere with your employees, then organization then employees are also going to retaliate the same way. So thank you very much. We can have a question answer session. Till now, okay, Allah Hafiz, stay home, stay safe, and good luck.